When Mordecai learned of all that had been done, he tore his clothes and went out into the city on wailing loudly and bitterly, and went out into the city wailing loudly and bitterly as the king's gate. But he went only as far as the king's gate was allowed to because no one cloaked in sackcloth in every province was allowed to enter the edict in every province to which king came. Edict. There was great mourning among the king came. With fasting, there was great mourning among the Jews. Many lay with fasting and weeping and wailing. Many lay in sackcloth and ashes. Eunuchs and female attendants came and told her about Mordecai, and female attendants came great distress and told her about Mordecai. She sent clothes for him. She was in great distress instead of his sackcloth. She sent clothes for him to put on instead of his sackcloth. But he would not accept them. Then Esther summoned eunuch assigned to attend the kings and ordered him to find out what was troubling Mordecai and ordered him to find out what was troubling Mordecai and why. Went out to Mordecai. So Hathach in the open square of the city, Mordecai in front of the king's gate. In the open square of the city, told him in front of the king's gate that had happened to him. Mordecai told him the exact amount of money that had happened, had promised to pay, including the exact amount of money for the destruction of the Jews to pay into the royal treasury. He also gave him a for the destruction of the Jews. He also gave him a copy of the text, annihilation of which had been published for their annihilation to show to Esther, which had been published and explained to her. And told him to show to Esther, instruct her to go into the king's presence. To beg for mercy and plead, to instruct her to go into the king's presence. To beg for mercy and plead with him for her people. And reported to Esther what Mordecai had said. Went back and reported to Esther. She instructed him to say to Mordecai had said. All the king's officials. Then she instructed him to say to Mordecai. All the king's officials, any man or woman, and the people of the royal provinces in the inner court, know that for being summoned, any man or woman who approaches the king in the inner court without being summoned, the king to death, unless the king extends the gold scepter. That they be put to death unless the king extends the gold scepter. But 30 days has passed to them since I spares their lives to go to the king. But 30 days has passed since I was Esther's words to go to the king. To Mordecai, he sent back when Esther's words do not report it to Mordecai that because you are he sent back this answer. You alone do not think all the that because you are in the king's house. If you remain silent at this time, of all the Jews will escape. For the Jews will if you remain silent at this time, but you and your fathers for the Jews will arise from another place. But that and your father's family will perish. Royal position. And who knows such a time as that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Go gather together all the Jews sent this reply to Mordecai and fast go gather together. Do not eat or drink for 3 days. Who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days. Night or day. When this is done, I and my attendants will fast as against the law. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went away and carried out all of Esther's instructions.